Never that. I think the biggest thing is just continuing to push. This is just another step along the journey. Obviously, it's great to be 5-0, but continuing to learn new things. There are a lot of things we can clean up to be better, but we had a pretty good effort, and it was a great win tonight.
All right, so Jared Allen had a double-double in the first half in 16 minutes. What do you have to say about him?
Man, dominant. Jared Allen, is the back line of our defense. Evan Mobley had the quietest 25 I've ever seen. But both of them, man, they're the heart and soul of what we do. Continuing to push forward and continuing, like I said, playing together, finding a way to do it as a group. But without those two, we aren't who we are.
So those were the deep reflections of a Spider tonight as Donovan Mitchell was talking about his Cleveland Cavalier victory over the Los Angeles Lakers and the fact that they're 5-0. It was total mass destruction of the Los Angeles Lakers tonight, 134-110. I mean, oh my gosh, they killed Kenny. Is doing a hell of a job as the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers, isn't he? Kenny Atkinson, who I swear if he was an animated child, it would be Kenny from South Park. There's so much resemblance between the two of them. Look, at the end of the day, this Cleveland Cavaliers team is right now 5-0. They're sitting atop of the Eastern Conference as the Boston Celtics went down. If you will, they're the last team standing in the Eastern Conference, the last undefeated team, if you will. They're the Highlander of the Eastern Conference at this point. So I thought on tonight's NBA Rundown, we would actually talk about how legitimate or illegitimate this Cleveland Cavaliers team really is as we are 5 games into their season. All right. New to the NBA Rundown. Please go and subscribe. Of course, like this video. Look, every subscription helps and every like helps. Look, I don't care where you're at. If you're in South America, North America, Europe, or just outside of Africa on a ship, we want to have you subscribe to the NBA Rundown on our underrated channel. All right, so a couple things I wanted to mention as we get into tonight's story, and it's simply to say, LeBron James goes back to Cleveland, as we know, with his son Bronny, gets his son some garbage time at the end of the game and gets 5 minutes of playing time, scores 2 points, and actually has 2 assists. I thought, if you've ever taken one of your adult children on a business trip with you, did you ever sort of get to the point where maybe you were in the second city of that business trip, sort of like LeBron James, and you're sort of like, I wonder when this kid's actually going back to college? Well, that's actually going to happen. It's not college, but Bronny's actually going to end up in the G League in about a week. That being said, tonight's victory by the Cleveland Cavaliers was a sign of what they're doing right. Now, Kenny Atkinson, as I mentioned, is the new head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers team. He absolutely got the raw deal in Brooklyn, as a lot of people over the years have gotten the raw deal, from players to coaches to people inside the organization. A lot of people have been good people, but have ultimately failed in Brooklyn. Kenny Atkinson is a wise hire by the Cleveland Cavaliers. Just take a look at Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell actually getting along for more than 5 minutes at a clip. I am just saying, the scoring tonight and the way the Cleveland Cavaliers actually punched the Los Angeles Lakers in the mouth is a reflection of the strategy set by the coach and the coaching staff. Those things ultimately really matter in the NBA. Now, it's amazing to me how many people have been taking, if you will, a victory lap after just 3 games when we're talking about JJ Redick and what a good hire JJ Redick actually is as the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. The true test of JJ Redick actually being a good coach is if he can find a way to communicate his message without actually if you will, souring the grapes of the players in the room. And yes, I'm making a bit of a cap joke there for him and LeBron, but ultimately it's his attitude that could cause trouble and could lead to, if you will, dissension amongst the players of the Los Angeles Lakers. Kenny Atkinson is not going to do that. He is putting together a team that is built to actually stay together. 25 for Mobley. Jared Allen was huge. 17 rebounds, 20 points tonight. Donovan Mitchell, 24. The Spiders, just awesome. So much fun to watch. One of my favorite players to watch in the NBA. Certainly. Darius Garland, 10 assists, 12 points. And Karis LeVert's always good, 16 points and 6 assists. Ty Jerome, of all people, actually put up 14 tonight. So you might be wondering, are the Cleveland Cavaliers really for real? Now, I think the true test of this Cleveland Cavaliers team is actually coming. And I think in about a week and a half, we will know exactly how good this Cleveland Cavaliers team is. Now, before we talk about who they're actually going to be playing, let's talk about who they played to this point. Now, entering tonight, the Cleveland Cavaliers had a 16.7 point differential. So, in other words, they were averaging nearly 17-point victories in their first 4 games, averaging 123, 124 points a game. So, in their first game, they beat the Raptors, which isn't that big of a deal, 136-106. Then they came home and took down a pesky Detroit Pistons team, 113-101. Then they went to Washington, D.C. and beat the Wizards 135-116. That was then followed up by a trip to Madison Square Garden, which was probably their most impressive win of the season to date. They beat the Knicks 110-104 in a hotly contested game, as those games always are. And then tonight in Cleveland, on LeBron James's homecoming with his son, who is in the NBA, they just punched those Lakers in the mouth. I'm telling you, 134-110. So the true test starts on Friday. And on Friday, they actually play the Orlando Magic. Now, we've all heard a lot of great things and seen a lot of great things out of the Orlando Magic already. So Friday, they have the Magic. Then on Saturday and Monday, they have back-to-back games with the Bucks. One's in Milwaukee, one's in Cleveland. That is then followed up with a trip to New Orleans against the Pelicans, and then a trip, and then the Warriors actually come to town. So I think about a week from now, we are going to know really just how good is this team, because not only do they have to go up against a couple of the best teams in the East 3 times in the next week, they also have to travel to New Orleans and then come home and deal with what is a very good Golden State Warriors basketball team, which is really deep and plays a completely different style of basketball. It's also going to be Steve Kerr against Kenny Atkinson. Atkinson, of course, was on Kerr's bench for the last couple years. So the question is this team actually for real? I think we will have a little bit more insight into that. I think at this point to say that they're absolutely for real is a bit of an overreaction. I'd feel a little bit more comfortable, 10 to 15 games into the season. But I have to say, Kenny Atkinson is just a hell of a coach. You can see it. I love good strategy in basketball. And if you have a chance, go watch the first quarter of the game tonight against the Los Angeles Lakers, and you will see exactly what I'm talking about. This was a big win for the Cavs tonight. And quite frankly, JJ Redick got flat out coached in the first quarter of tonight's game, and the Lakers just didn't have enough to come back. All right, that's what I've got for you tonight on the National Basketball Association Rundown. Seriously, Subscribe and, of course, like this video for the NBA Rundown. I'm Dave DeBaugh, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day.
This is Phoenix.